He's got 99 problems with Square, ain't one. Jay-Z teaming up with Jack Dorsey in a $297 million deal that could shake up the music industry. Let's get to Kate Rooney with all the details. Hey, Kate.
Hey, Melissa. Square is buying a majority stake in Jay-Z's music service, Tidal. The cash and stock deal gives Jay-Z a seat on Square's board. So why are they doing this? Music streaming and payments. In some tweets this morning, Jack Dorsey described it as a way to get musicians better economics, comparing it to Square's mission with small businesses. Otherwise, the details were pretty sparse. One analyst tells me that they always count on Dorsey to be a bit unpredictable. Others say that this is another boost for the cool factor of Cash App. Square already launched a clothing line in the same vein, and dozens of hip-hop artists have written Cash App into their lyrics. Anything that drives engagement is really seen as a good thing for Square. For example, customers who buy and sell cryptocurrencies tend to bring in more revenue. That could be the same case with music streaming. It could also play into Dorsey's big vision for crypto. The music industry is increasingly using what are known as NFTs, or non-fungible tokens. Kings of Leon this morning were the latest to use these digital currencies to sell their albums. But while Square is known at being great at building things internally, like Cash App, it has a less stellar reputation for M&A. The big example is Caviar, which after a lackluster couple of years, Square sold to DoorDash. Melissa, back to you.
All right, Kate, thanks so much. Kate Rooney with that. I feel like this acquisition was very little, Karen, and you buy the celebrity factor, and you also buy a very inexpensive way of maybe trying to go into this emerging area of NFTs.
Right. Well, aside from the bromance factor, yeah, there is that. It also, the terms were not disclosed except that it was cash and stock and what the overall price was, and that I believe Jay-Z and others are holding their stock. So to the extent this stock trades really rich, Square, which it does, you know, maybe they didn't pay that much for it. It's interesting, though. I think the cool factor is relevant somewhat. I also wouldn't be surprised if Jay-Z ups his tweeting a lot. That would be helpful to Jack as well. I mean, I get it. It's a small acquisition for them given their giant market cap. But I don't know. I found it interesting. I wouldn't be bummed out if I was a Square holder, I don't think.
You actually sent over, and I don't follow Jay-Z's Twitter feed. I probably should. Jack Dorsey's loosely. Yeah. But there was a photo of them sitting together by a fire, sharing some red wine. So it was very apparent that they actually have a very good relationship, and so maybe this was a long time coming, as they say. Let's get to our next guest. He says Tidal was an excellent fit for Square. Let's bring in Dan Dolev. He covers Square at Mizuho. He currently has a buy rating on the stock with a $380 price target. Dan, great to have you with us.
Hey, thank you, Melissa. Always a pleasure.
I want to talk to about NFTs and that possibility in just a moment. But in terms of just sort of the overlap between music and Square and Cash App, do you think that people who buy music may also be more frequent traders or buyers of Bitcoin, or will there be activity on the platform in other ways?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is, in my view, a fantastic acquisition. And the reason for that is it takes Square one step closer to sort of that dream ARPU, average revenue per user, which could be anywhere from $400 to $500, right? And the reason it does it is because this is a primary booster of engagement, right? People listen to music. I mean, we've seen some statistics that people listen to music over 30 hours a week. So by listening to the music, you're opening the app. And when you're opening the app, you're engaging with the app. So you can do other things, trade Bitcoin, loan money, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what it does, right? I think people that just say, oh, it's a music streaming service, they don't really get it. It's all about boosting engagement and making this sort of one part of a big cohesive ecosystem.
So, but basically, we don't know if these people are going to actually engage in the app. They engage in the app in that they open the app in order to listen possibly to the music service, but we don't actually know if that necessarily means that they engage in the app in other ways for other additional revenue streams.
Correct. We don't know that, but right, it's almost statistically speaking, right, when you're there and you're listening to it and they offer you, to buy Bitcoin or to buy stocks, right, you're more likely to do it just by being there, right? Like 50% is just being there and getting you to open the app. Once you open the app, you do other things, right? So it's another thing, it's another tool, basically a free call option because it's less than 0.5% of Square's cap. So even if it doesn't work, it wasn't a big mistake. But I think it's a free call option on this could be being like a massive use case for, Square's or Cash App's 36 million active accounts right now.
Okay, so let's talk about NFTs now. In what time frame do you think Square will actually be in this business?
Square is very daring. I think in no time, I can tell you yesterday we hosted Kathy Wood for a discussion in Payments 2030 here at Mizuho. And basically the one big takeaway is that she thinks, and I agree with her, that Square is very daring. So I think that, this could take, not years, but months for Square to basically start offering, more crypto around music, around this, because this is, Jack is a big crypto proponent. So I think this is going to be front and center for Square. I don't know if that was the reason they bought it, but that's a huge positive externality that comes out of it.
Tim, do you have a question?
Hey, Dan, it's Tim. Sorry. So the question around NFTs is, how pervasive do you think this will be in, we know that they've certainly been originated in the genesis in the art world, or so it seems, but for the music industry, empowering, entitling artists, also the mechanism for commerce in digital is something that we've all been waiting for. Just thoughts on that. Game changer?
I think it's a game changer, right? I think that the music industry is at basically an all-time low. This is not a U.S. phenomenon; it's a global phenomenon. Square is buying them just when we're exiting COVID, and things are going to have to change. And NFT is one way to change things and helping artists monetize and secure their IP. And I think that's one of the reasons, or one of the sort of social empowerment that Jack is talking about that comes to it. So I think I totally think it's a game changer, and I think that, as always, Jack and Square are 5 to 10 years ahead of everybody else. And that's why we have a $380 price target.
Dan, great to speak with you. Thank you.
With a pleasure.
Dan Dolev of Mizuho. Dan Nathan, I'm curious to get your take on this whole thing, whether or not this is actually a play on NFTs and if this is a good or a bad thing. I mean, it's interesting because Dan said, people spend 30 hours a week streaming music. And so if they open the app, chances are they'll do other things. Then they could have bought a host of other things that people do for many hours a week and said, chances are engagement will go up if they tacked on, I don't know, some other website.
Well, listen, I think this kind of threads together a lot of things that Jack is passionate about. When you think about his introduction of Bitcoin into the Square ecosystem, I mean, it really is about empowerment. At least that's what he thinks. And so he's looking at an industry that he obviously likes. He's very into art. Music is art. And he thinks that by doing this with NFTs, because they already have the crypto there and they have the demographic that is going to this financial digital world, it seems like a logical extension. I'm all for it. Karen said $100 billion market cap. They have $3.5 billion in net cash. You bring a guy like Jay-Z into the mix. It's brilliant, and I'll just say this as a big music fan. An NFT, I'd buy one. One of my favorite bands, buy a deluxe album and tickets to their show for life, and maybe some other cool things associated with it. So I think it's like the first inning of the first pitch for this sort of stuff. And I don't know if it has to be crypto. Could you do this through Live Nation or Ticketmaster or some independent organization? Probably. Does it need to be on a blockchain? Not so sure, or a smart contract. But I think there's going to be changes in the music industry, and innovative people like Jack are probably going to figure it out.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.